What's up, duelists? Whoa, you're probably never seen something like this before. If you're a newer player, oh my gosh. This is the Konami blog, the Konami official blog. Back in the day, you had to look at this fucking eyesore just to find some top 32 deck lists. But this past weekend, they actually did something really cool at Ultimate Time Wizard Anaheim, which is at YCS Anaheim. They published the top 4 deck lists from the Ultimate Time Wizard tournament. Which was Edison format. So we're going to be taking a look at those top 4 deck lists and just going through them, which is cool. And it's cool that we get to do it on a Konami official site. I think this is cool that they're adding additional coverage for Time Wizard stuff, and I'll never complain about coverage. There are some things I will complain about, but yeah, the coverage is cool. I would have liked to see top 8 deck lists, of course, but the fact that they got the top 4, hey, it's a start. I don't know what happened to the 5th through 8th place deck lists that they felt like not posting them. Apparently the event had 309 entrants, so very large Ultimate Time Wizard Edison format tournament, which is sick. And if you want to play in something similar to this, RBTLA, baby. It's almost sold out, actually. If you want to check the description below, you can find more details about it and how to sign up. But maybe you're watching this a few days later and it's already sold out, so don't sleep on this. I know someone's going to sleep on it, and just... Whatever. Anyway, let's get into it. First place was Bruce Harris, player I'm not super familiar with, but I watched a video with him in it, and he seemed like a really cool guy. I don't know. He gave good vibes. Seems like a fun guy to play with. He's an old school player. He got back into it because of, obviously, Ultimate Time Wizard, Edison format resurgence, that sort of thing. And his list kind of reflects that. He's got the 2 Blizzard that people used to play back in 2010. He's got Double Value, which people used to play in 2010. I think nowadays, more often than not, you'll see 1 Value and 3 Blizzard, because Blizzard's kind of like your big payoff guy. And drawing Value is kind of not great, but it's neither here nor there. I mean, Black Wings is a great deck, right? We've seen this a million times before. He was main decking 2 Book of Moon, which is something that's sort of fallen out of favor because it's not very good against frogs, and it's also not very good against Value Turbo, but it has a lot of niche application, defending your own monsters, defending your Dark Arm Dragon from Bottomless Trap Hole, for example, and it works with some of his sideboard cards, which we'll get into in a second. The trap lineup looks pretty interesting, too. Only 2 Icarus Attack, 2 Deep Prison, and 2 Bottomless Trap Hole, so like diversifying his interaction, and 1 main deck Dev. So opting for only 3 ways to sacrifice his own monsters. Main decking the Starlight Road, which is cool, and main decking the Torrential Tribute, which is cool as well. We've seen Blackwing players cut both these cards historically, but I do think that these cards are very good, and I do think that Starlight Road is kind of a tournament-winning card. If you want a card that's like immediately going to flip a mirror match on its head, it's main decking Starlight Road versus Blackwings. You're going to negate their Icarus attack and get a free Stardust Dragon, and that's usually going to put you in just a dominant position. So, yeah, really cool to see that mained from Bruce Harris here yet again. Extra deck, fairly standard, but the side deck is really interesting. 2 Banisher of the Radiance. Now, this is normally a card that I think is not very good in Black Wings because it is a normal summon, and usually you want to spend your normal summon on the Blackwing monsters. But in this specific top 8, there were zombies, there were X-Sabers, there were a lot of recruiter decks. There were a lot of decks where Banish of the Radiance really, really shines, and I'm curious how well that worked out for him in the top 8 or throughout the entire tournament in general. Banisher is an interesting card, and normally it's pretty good at playing through the common hand traps, which is like Collude and Honest. It's not as good versus frogs as you would think, because unless you're going first and summon at turn 1, your opponent usually has Treeborn already in the graveyard, so it just kind of acts as a DD Crow for that Treeborn if they decide to bring it out. It's a little bit weak. 1600 is weaker than both, obviously, like Junk, Special Swap, Synchro into Catastrophe or something like that, or it's weaker than like Stratos, which the frog decks normally play, or Alias. And they usually have a certain number of normal summons that they can use to get over the Banish of the Radiance. So it is very interesting that he did choose to play these, but they work really well with Book of Moon. So I do think that the 2 Book of Moon, while they might not be the best pick or the worst pick or whatever, they do work really well with the sideboard. And I do think Banish of the Radiance is actually pretty good versus Value Turbo because it's a Raikou magnet. When you summon it, you attack a Raikou, they have to target the Banisher. They can't target your back row, they can't target anything else, they can't target your Whirlwind, your Blackwing monster, whatever. They basically just have to target the Banisher because their deck doesn't really work that well without the graveyard, so it acts as a Raikou magnet in a lot of matchups, which is cool. And it's also pretty decent against like Dragon Turbo, especially if you can put it into play early. Just gives you an extra guy. 2 Breakers also really interesting, so like a heavy amount of normal summons here. Breaker's good. I mean, it's interesting. It doesn't necessarily run over Consecrated. It doesn't really necessarily help you play through Bottomless that well, but free plus ones, you'll take them where you can get them. They're good versus Blackwings, and they're good versus Vayu Turbo. So those are the two most popular decks usually. Sometimes there's stuff like Glads, and Breaker's pretty good against Glads as well. Sometimes there's stuff like Machina. Breaker also pretty good there too. So identifying that Breaker is just a solid +1 into Raikou Set Prison, which is usually one of the more annoying turn 1 setups. So cool to see that have success in the sideboard. It's a very unusual choice, but it worked out really well for him. Obviously, first place is basically the only person who gets a prize in one of these tournaments, which is really sad. We'll get into that later, though. Yeah, and then just double smashing, double pulling, double nobleman, like just a lot of like spot removal, and even another normal summon in Kaiki the Ghost Destroyer. So just really overloading on threats. Only one Dust Tornado, no compulsory, none of that. Just ton of threats, standard back row, nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary besides like the few tech things here and there. It looks like an OG deck list. It looks fire. You know, he probably just had this, picked up a Dark End Dragon the day of, and then hopped in the tournament. You know what I mean? And shout out to Bruce for getting first place. Well deserved. Very, very, very stacked top 8. A lot of strong players. Second place was Mark Garcia. Some of you guys may know him as Zabo. He has topped RBET Rulers. He's topped previous Ultimate Time Wizards. And he's done it always with different variations of zombies. The RBET Rulers top was probably his breakout top with zombies. I think he had another, obviously he had another RBET top before that, which I think was with zombies as well, but he was kind of the first person to top an RBET, and it was a really high profile one. It was RBET Rulers 2023 with Instant Fusion Zombies. And this second place he also did with Instant Fusion Zombies. This is a deck that I said at the beginning of this year was kind of a deck to look out for this year. And nobody else has adopted it besides Mark or Zabo himself, but it's going to pay off for him really, really well. He's going to get second place in Ultimate Time Wizard by running it back. So, you know, if no one else is going to do it, you just got to show them that you got to show them twice. You know what I mean? Once is a fluke, two, you can't really ignore it. And I think this instant zombies is probably the best way to play it moving forward. Just because of how good Instant Fusion plus Caius is into an established board, like going second. This is one of the best zombie lists going second. This is one of the best zombie lists that is not super duper reliant on your Pyramid Turtle resolving. In this build, Pyramid Turtle is more of like a bait. It's more of just like a, if this resolves, that's nice, but if it doesn't resolve, I definitely still have plays. He's also getting to play triple Book of Life thanks to the Instant Fusion, and I think that that's like super, super key in this meta. I mean, dude, Frogs is everywhere, right? Frogs just won RBET Rulers. It just won the last RBET, right? Frogs is everywhere. And in this top 8, there were 0 Frogs, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, there were 0 Frogs. Well, there was one Frog deck, but it was like a fish Frog deck. But Book of Life is like the best card against that deck. And being able to maximize that, I really, really, really like Book of Life. I think the 2-for-1-esque capabilities of the card, where you're getting the value of the Banish plus the Reborn, super overpowered. I think that can't be understated. Obviously, Miracle Fusion, you know, is good. Obviously, the other reanimation cards, Powerwell, are good as well. But Book of Life is interactive and it's progressive. It does both. It does everything you want it to do out of a card. So I think maximizing that, it gives you the best potential into stuff like Vayu Turbo and Frogs, which are very popular decks. It's also very good against Blackwings too. Yeah, Emergency Teleport plus Krebins. Krebins is kind of the premier tuner as of right now. Kambanwa recently, second place. Our Ultimate Time Wizard. I believe there was a first place Krebins deck recently. Yeah, I could be wrong. I could be mistaken this. But yes, and then obviously this second place. Again, back-to-back second places for Krebins Zombies. So yeah, Telezombies, Krebins definitely showing his strength here. Really, really powerful deck. Interesting stuff in this list, double Trap Stun. This is also what he played at RBET Rulers. The main difference here is he now has 1 Deep Prison and 1 Dust Tornado. I believe in RBET Rulers he played 2 compulsory in these slots, so a little bit different of a list. I believe also at RBET Rulers he did play Psychic Commander. Looks like he's no longer playing Psychic Commander in the stack. Only 18 monsters in the main. I wonder if that is something to do with like deck devastation virus numbers or something like that. But honestly, Book of Life is like one of the best cards on the deck dev. So no, it looks solid. The main deck looks solid. Looking at the side deck, some really interesting cards. DD Assailant, Nether Dimensional Prison. He just felt he wanted the extra Battle Trap, I guess, Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. So DD Assailant, definitely a hedge against Blackwings when they activate Deck Devastation Virus, right? You got to have it. If they deck dev you, they have to sacrifice their big monster, and then your assailant trades with their next monster, and then you're just up. You're just up a lot of cards, and you've kind of drained all of their threats, and then you can rebuild pretty easily after that with this type of deck. Needle Sealing, this is a tech that a lot of people have been adopting lately as a way to break through the dupe block at Chainlink 2. It's kind of like a second copy of Torrential Tribute. It's really good in these recruiter style decks where you can play sort of passively. You can like set your monsters or even summon your goblin zombies, pressure a little bit, and then your opponent commits a little bit, and then you blow up the whole board. Needle Sealing is also a good combatant to the rise in Amaryllis. A lot of Amaryllis boards will end with like 2 Dandy tokens and a Titanial, or Titanial Amaryllis, and then all you need to do is put 2 monsters in play to have your Needle Sealing be live, and it can't be negated by Titanial, which is really nice. So I do like that sideboard inclusion. And then Double Vanity's Fiend, which obviously combos with the instant fusions and emergency teleport as well. There's 3 ways to get a turn 1 tribute fodder, so you can have Vanity's Fiend out before your opponent even has a turn, which is pretty busted in a lot of matchups. So yeah, great stuff. I love the Smashing Grounds too. Smashing Ground, I believe there was 2 in the first place list, and there was 2 in the second place list as well, which is sick. So yeah, extra deck, really sick to see the Psychic Life Trancer, the Reaper on the Nightmare, some really unique extra deck monsters. X-Saber, Urbellum, and Absolute House in this deck. You will win a lot of games by just going Urbellum, stack a card, Reaper, rip a card, and then your opponent's just starting with 4 cards, and they have to draw another one. Like, they miss their draw step as well. So it's like ripping 3 cards. It's almost like a soft hand loop when you are able to go for that play. But yeah, sick stuff. Shout out to Zabo again for this continued topping. Very, very consistent performances. Incredibly consistent performances from Zabo. Cairo King, this is a true hero. A lot of people may know him as a true hero. Traveled all the way, I believe, from Korea. I think he lives in Korea to play in this tournament. So that's sick. Always putting in that effort. Yeah, a true hero usually has pretty good results at his tournaments. I mean, he's a competitor through and through. Very competitive guy. Just from the few times I've talked to him and like interacted with him, and we've done a few videos together. Very, very competitive guy. Super competitive guy. So no surprise to see him here in the top 8, top 4 even, 3rd place, but a little bit of a surprise to see him not playing heroes. He's normally known for playing heroes, and it looks like he's actually playing hybrid Blackwings. So he's got Shura the Blue Flame, Gale the Whirlwind, but he's also got a little bit of a Lightsworn package. A Lila, 2 Raikos, Plague, Necro, probably Charge, Burial as well. Looks like he's not playing Black Whirlwind. Looks like he's just playing Shura as a one-of to get the values out of the deck. I'm not sure how good that is. Because Shura without Kalut kind of just gets stonewalled by a lot of the format. And, like, because 1800 isn't really, like, getting over Stratos. It's not really getting over Hamster. Obviously, it's good enough to get him to 3rd place. So I'm curious to see how the Shura performed for him. Especially without Blizzard to really... Like if this just runs 1-for-1 into Raiko, it feels like you're actually kind of behind. Because now you're not playing Blizzard to get that setup, right? That payoff. But your opponent got the mills. So it feels like Shura without Blizzard and Shura without Kalut into set monsters is a little bit less value. But nonetheless, it's very strong. Still, if you're able to run over like a Lila or a Bora or something like that, or a Battle Recruiter out of a lot of the recruiter decks that were here in this top 8, it's an interesting tech for sure. I wonder if it's like better than just the 3rd Dark Grepher, but it's pretty strong if it resolves. Just getting a free value and then being able to synchro in this deck is crazy. It can help set up for that main deck Devastation Virus that he is playing. Yeah, the main deck looks pretty similar to like your average value turbo deck. Beyond that, the Lila is interesting. I do like Lila in this deck a lot. I do like his list. I think it looks good. The Shura is just the only card where I'm like, I don't know. I haven't seen that before. Usually if you do see it, it's with like Book of Moons. But he's not playing Book of Moons. He is playing Cold Wave, which is cool. I do like Cold Wave a lot. I think Cold Wave is busted. I don't know if it's better than Mystical Space Typhoon, but it looks like he thought that. So you can go for something like Cold Wave and then chain your own Return from the Different Dimension, which is pretty strong. So that's always sick. He is main decking Icarus Attack, so maybe he just felt he needed an extra target for that Icarus Attack. That's why he's playing the Shura. Yeah, that could totally be it. Maybe he felt like he needed 8. Because like normally when you play like Allure of Darkness, your bare minimum is like 9 targets, right? You want to have at least 9 darks before you play Allure of Darkness. And the same thing is true for like Solar Recharge. Solar Recharge, you want to have at least 8, 9 targets before you play that. So if you apply that same logic, you want to have at least like 8 targets before you include an Icarus attack. Then Shura is probably the next best. I've seen people play one of Kalut before. I've seen people play one of Bora before, just as a way to shove for OTKs. And I've seen people play main deck DD Crows before as a way to support Icarus attack. So I'm not sure if Shura is the best, but it's definitely not the worst card you could play. And it definitely does help support that main deck Icarus attack, which is a nice mix up. It also gives you like additional sweepers, like between the Cold Wave, the Heavy Storm, and like obviously Torrential Mirror Force. It just gives you a lot of ways to just blow up multiple cards, which is super important in this deck. No main deck Royal Oppression, which is crazy, because I feel like this deck can get its shit pushed in by Stardust if you don't have Royal Oppression. But he's not playing it in the main. Let's see if he's siding it. Let's see. Wow. Yeah, he is citing both copies. Okay, makes sense. He's got a side deck. Starlight Road, a lot of 1-ofs. Actually, entire side deck is 1-ofs except for the Royal Oppressions. So the Typhoon's in the side, Mind Control's on the side. Mask of Restrict, interesting. Interesting to have Mask of Restrict on the side with Caius in the main. Those probably get swapped out. That makes sense. 1 Dust Tornado, 1 DD Crow, 1 Cyber Dragon. Just a whole bunch of different stuff. 1 random Dino, 1 random Vanity's Fiend. 1 Light Mirror, interesting. He is playing 2 Raikou and Lila. He's also not playing Hamster at all, which I just noticed. He is playing Chaos Sorcerer, though, which you probably have to side out if you side in the Light Mirror. Hold on, let me see. He's got Cyber Dragon. I don't know. Yeah, if you're siding out your light monsters, you probably also have to side out Chaos Sorcerer. Only 4 light monsters with Chaos Sorcerer, right? It's only 4. Shit. I guess it worked. All right, that's sick. Cool list. Shout out to True Hero again. Although I heard you were talking shit at Ultimate Time Wizard Vegas, but we'll keep that between you and I. A true hero. I'm just kidding. All right, moving on. Johnny Ngio. I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name, but holy shit, Johnny, you might be the X-Saber GOAT. And this is what I really wanted to make the video about. Is the 4th place X-Saber deck list. This list is sick. And why is this list sick? Oh, because it's basically the list that Totagon and I came up with. Surprise, motherfuckers. You thought you could get through this video without a Keegan deck list, but you were wrong. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, this is a deck list that, X-Sabers is basically if we're being real, it's gonna end up looking cookie cutter like Black Wings after a certain point, and all it took was me and Totagon throwing some ideas back and forth to get this rough skeleton. The only difference between this and Totagon's first place list that is everywhere is the 3 copies of Saberhole over 3 copies of Phoenix Chain, and the 1 copy of X-Saber Galahad over the 2nd Giant Rat. So you guys have seen this list a million times on my channel. There's a bunch of cool things in this list that we could talk about, but I just wanted to shout out Johnny because, dude, he started out 7-0 at one of the most stacked Ultimate Time Wizards of all time, which is really, really sick. Ended up 8-1, moving into top 8 with X-Sabers. It's now the 2nd Ultimate Time Wizard top 8 for X-Sabers, which is pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. This one, in particular, 9 rounds, very, very powerful. Not much to say. Not much to say that I haven't said in videos before. This deck is very powerful. I've played an almost identical list in a tournament recently, and you can find me giving a paper profile and showing that off. If you can dodge drawing double Airbellum, this is probably one of the best decks in the format. It's super, super good. I've actually been labbing out some of the combos that you can do with 1-for-1, and I found the more and more I play with this deck, the more broken 1-for-1 feels. 1-for-1 Ragigura plus double False Roll, or 1-for-1 not Ragigura, 1-for-1 any monster plus double False Roll is fucking crazy. It's like infinite combos out the ass. Like, there are so many things you can do with this deck that I think are really, really underrated. I do think it's important that you max Book of Moon, and you max 1-for-1, and you max Gold Sarcophagus as ways to find your combo pieces. And I do think it's important that you max Summoner Monk, Rescue Cat, Sangan, Giant Rat, all the ways you can to get 2 X-Saber monsters in play from nothing. Those are like the most important things with this deck. If you can get 2 X-Saber monsters into play from nothing, then that means you can kind of just sandbag and then all of a sudden just combo your opponent's death out of nowhere. The cool thing about this list is that the Saber Hole kind of like punishes your opponent for trying to aggro you out, which is cool. Other than that, beautiful list. I think the original list I sent Totagon had the Road and the Trap Stun, and he was playing, I think, Mirror Force at one with the sword in these spots, but yeah, I was playing Road and Trap Stun. I wonder if if Johnny came to a lot of the same conclusions, or if he had seen our work on the deck, because, I mean, clearly, like, the spell lineup being identical, the monster lineup being almost identical, and, like, the trap cards being almost identical we've come to the same conclusions one way or another. It's possible he's never seen the list, and he just logically deduced the same things we logically deduced, so, yeah. Side deck, extra deck, double armory arm. Okay, yeah. Yeah, this is definitely, he knows the double arm sauce, yes. Side deck, we got the Trap Stun, My Body is a Shield, Mirror Force, okay. Double Light Mirror, triple Kaiku, the Ghost Destroyer, double Dust Tornado, double Cyber Dragon, Compulsory, and double Bottomless. This looks very similar to what I think Roy St. Clair played back in the day and then was adopted by Totagon. So I think that this looks very similar to his list as well. There's definitely some inspiration being taken here. Galahad is something that ProStorm had been talking about as a way to crash your Emmer's Blade and then get an 1800 attacking monster that could run over like Borrelila. And that comes up here and there. I never really had it come up for me, so I ended up cutting it. But some people like just having the extra 4-star because it can make it easier to make Stardust with your Synchro setups. And it's an extra X-Saber name that you can summon and set Saberhole behind, whereas Giant Rat, you can't do that. So if you are playing Saberhole, you do need to up your X-Saber count by 1, I believe. And whether you play the 3rd Full Helm Knight or you play the 1 of Galahad, that's entirely up to you. But I do think that if you are playing the Saberholes, you need to have a little bit higher of a count of X-Saber names to be able to summon in front of Saberhole. That being said, I do really like Giant Rat still in this list, and clearly so did Johnny. The big issue I want to talk about here isn't necessarily Johnny's list or, whatever. It's that Johnny made it all the way to 4th place, right? He made it all the way to top 4 of this tournament. He's even featured on the fucking website. And guess what he got for a prize? Guess what he got for a fucking prize? He got a rubberback mat with Reborn Tengu on it. Are you fucking for real? Like, this guy just played through 12 rounds of the hardest Yu-Gi-Oh! He traveled to come to this event. He paid to enter it. He got 4th place. There were 310 players, 309 players in this event. What the fuck? How the fuck do you get top 4 and not get a fucking prize? I'm sorry, but look at this. Look at this. The custom rubber back mat. Custom rubber back mat. How much does this cost? How much does this cost? Custom rubber back mat card games. I don't fucking know. Let's just see this shit. Oh, $27.50. What? You know how much it costs to enter this tournament? You know how much it fucking costs to enter this tournament? More than $27.50. You're telling me that you could take your entry fee, buy the fucking prize, print the Reborn Tengu on it, and get more than the person who got 4th place in this tournament. Like, you would walk away with more. That's fucked up, man. That is fucked up. Konami prizing should be illegal. They are literally robbing you. This is fucking bullshit. And that's why I'm telling you guys, you gotta come to RBET instead, because we actually have prizing. We pay out the top 16. It's actually gonna be a sick event. It's almost sold out. You can't miss it. You can't miss this event. I'm dead ass. Imagine grinding this hard with a deck that everyone wants to see and, like, really putting on for the community. And they're like, here's your fucking rubberback mat with a monster that's not even in the format that you topped in on. Are you fucking for real? Are you fucking for real? Bro, get this man some fucking cash money. Get this man a goddamn ultimate rare or something. What is going on? What is going on? How is this allowed? How is this allowed? I don't understand. I don't understand how this is allowed. Like, even like Cairo, Mark, okay, they get a tiny giant card. What is it? It's like one of those things you get in a fucking Pokemon blister. You know what I mean? Sure, disrespectful, but, like, at least it's fucking something. You know what I mean? At least it's fucking unique. And sure, Bruce gets a giant card, which he can maybe sell for like $2,000. It's a reprint giant card. It's not even a unique giant card. It is the same giant card they've had 4 other times already. So, like, brother, how do you have a 309 person tournament with a fucking mid-ass prize and don't even pay out to fucking 2nd to 4th place? What are you doing with the money? Where's that going? Like, Konami writes these off as marketing expenses, right? That's the whole shtick. That's why they, you know, like, put so much effort and so much money into, like, the commentary kappa, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Right? That's why they pay people to write these little blog posts, right? Yeah? It's a marketing expense, right? Like, you need people to buy your game, right? Okay, just factor another $5,000-$10,000, print a few more booster boxes and sell them, and pay for the fucking prizing for these players. What the fuck, man? Like, actually give them something. How is he going to be featured on your fucking blog and you're not even paying him out? Like, it's honestly disrespectful that they're giving him a rubber bag mat at all. Like, just give him nothing at this point. Literally, what? Unbelievable. Anyway, I sincerely hope this changes. This is unbelievable. And this is actually the reason why I didn't attend this event myself. Straight up. I will not attend another Konami event until they fix the fucking prizing. And I understand that a lot of you guys won't get an opportunity to play in massive Edison tournaments unless you go to these YCSs. And I understand YCSs are a great time to go hang out with friends. And I'm not expecting you guys to do the same thing I'm doing, right? I'm not expecting that. If you guys want to go to Konami events, then awesome. Totally. But just understand that you're going there and you're spending money. And even if you do really fucking well in the tournament, you're going to get nothing. You're going to get fuck all. You're going to get a fucking chore. Bruce probably has to pay money to ship that fucking giant card that he got back to his house because they don't even ship it for you. It's fucking nuts. I actually, when I was at Nats, Cairo was like, I can't ship my giant card to Korea. It'll cost me more than it's worth, straight up. And he was like, literally undercutting the cost of the card or whatever it's supposedly worth to sell it that day because they won't pay to ship it for him, which is insane. Imagine giving someone a prize and then saying, deal with it. And it's a fucking miserable prize that you can't take on a flight. Like, what? The whole like design of it, the whole fucking, like, yes, I love that it's happening. I love that they're supporting Ultimate Time Wizard. Don't get me wrong. This whole Edison Resurgence would not have happened without Konami official support. It would have happened, it would have been smaller, but it wouldn't have happened to this degree, right? But, I mean, like, come on, just give them some prizes. Also, like, I love that they're publishing the deck list. This is sick. This is like a throwback to what it used to be like back in the day. This is kind of like very nostalgic. It's on the blog too, which is cool. I like that. This is awesome. This is really sick. It gives me a feeling of what it was like to be, like, going home on my dial-up internet and trying to find out what topped the shonen or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I like this. I like these changes. These are positive changes. But just, dude, people will post YouTube videos of deck lists. You know what I mean? People will do the coverage for you. Give the fucking players a prize, man. All right. End rant. Thank you guys for tuning in. Try out these deck lists. They all look great. See you guys in the next one. Peace.